Hello, welcome to Unlocking Buddhism. Let's talk about something we all want, maybe more than anything else. To be happy, to feel good, to feel free. We've all had moments when things should have felt perfect. The job, the relationship, the trip, the new beginning. But instead of lasting peace, we got something else. A quick high, followed by an even deeper emptiness. It's like chasing the wind. The faster you run, the further it feels. Why? Because we were taught, over and over, that happiness lives out there. But what if that story was never true? What if the reason we feel so anxious, tired, disconnected isn't because life is broken, but because we're looking for joy in places it doesn't actually live? This isn't about positive thinking. This isn't about pretending everything's fine. This is about reality, and how, once you stop fighting it, once you start seeing it, you begin to discover a kind of peace that doesn't disappear when things get hard. A kind of happiness that's not loud, not perfect, not dependent on anything or anyone, but real. And real happiness, it turns out, feels very different from the version we've been sold. In this video, we're going to walk through a different kind of path. Not one built on chasing success or controlling life, but one built on seeing clearly, accepting deeply, and living fully. Say it out loud, type it, because this isn't just a video, it's a reset. Now let's begin. You are not in control of life, and that's not a mistake. That's how reality works. Most of us grow up believing that if we try hard, make plans, do everything right, then life will reward us, that things will go according to the schedule we imagined. But anyone who has lived even a little knows that's just not how it goes. You plan a trip, and it rains. You prepare for a job, and someone else gets it. You dream about a relationship, and it ends. You imagine your future, and life takes a completely different path. And what do we do when that happens? We panic. We blame others. But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. You just bumped into reality. The idea that we can control everything around us is an illusion, a comforting one, but still an illusion. And the more we believe in it, the more we suffer when reality does what it always does, change without warning. Now, this doesn't mean we have no control at all. You can make choices. You can set intentions. You can show up every day and give your best. But even then, you don't control the results. You control how you show up, not what life gives you in return. Here's something important to understand. Suffering doesn't come from the events themselves. It comes from the gap between our expectations and reality. That voice is the illusion of control talking. So what can we do about it? We start by shifting our focus. Instead of trying to control life, we focus on how we relate to it. We train ourselves to stay present, to accept what's happening without resistance, and to respond with clarity instead of frustration. You don't have to like what's happening, but fighting what already is, that's a battle you'll lose every time. Letting go of control doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming wise. It means recognizing where your real power lives, not in controlling outcomes, but in managing your response to them. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing life to go your way, you start to feel free, because you're no longer trying to force reality into a shape it never promised. You're finally living in the world as it actually is, not the one you wish it was. That's not weakness. That's emotional strength. That's maturity. That's wisdom. And that's where real peace begins. So we begin to see that much of our frustration, our anxiety, even our sadness, doesn't come from life itself, but from the expectation that life should go exactly as we planned. And when it doesn't, when the plans fall apart, when reality takes its own path, when something we never asked for arrives at our doorstep, that's when we encounter something deeper, something harder to sit with, something every human being faces at some point: suffering. Let's talk honestly about something most people spend their lives trying to avoid: suffering. We're talking about discomfort, pain, disappointment, confusion, frustration, loss. That deep, quiet ache that shows up when things don't go as we hoped, or when life just hurts. And here's the first thing to understand. You're not alone in this. You're not the only one, and you're not broken. Every human being, no matter how confident they look, no matter how perfect their life seems on the outside, has suffered and will suffer again. You will fail at something you care about. You will be misunderstood. You will lose something or someone you love. But here's the truth. Most people never say out loud, suffering is not a mistake. It's not a glitch. It's not a punishment. It's part of being human. Pain is not proof that you failed. It's not proof that you're off track. It's not a sign that life is broken. It's a sign that life is real. You see, the real problem isn't the pain itself. It's what we believe about it. We're raised to think life should feel good all the time. That if we're doing things right, everything will be smooth, happy, and under control. So when it's not, when it hurts, we think something's gone wrong. But the pain isn't wrong. The expectation that life should be pain-free, that's what's wrong. Because pain is a natural part of being alive. Just like hunger tells you when your body needs food, or exhaustion tells you to rest, emotional pain tells you, pay attention. Maybe it's the way you're thinking that's causing you harm. Maybe it's a truth you've been avoiding. Maybe it's time to grow, and life is nudging you forward, even if you're not ready. And the worst thing we can do in those moments is run from it. Pretend it's not there. Blame the world. Hide. Because when we avoid our pain, we also avoid the message it's trying to bring us. But when we turn toward it, something begins to change. We soften. We see more clearly. We grow in ways we couldn't have without it. You can be in pain and still be okay. You can feel sadness, grief, disappointment, and still move forward. Still keep your dignity. Still keep your heart open. Pain doesn't mean something's broken inside you. It means something real is being revealed. And while pain itself may be temporary, the lessons it leaves behind can stay with you forever. Sometimes pain gives us strength we didn't know we had. Sometimes it gives us clarity about what really matters. Sometimes it simply humbles us and shows us that we're not in control of everything. And that's okay, because suffering always brings a choice. You can let it harden you, or you can let it shape you. You can use your pain to build walls, or to build wisdom. So no, suffering doesn't mean life is against you. It means life is doing what it always does, offering you a chance to wake up, to let go, and to grow. And that might just be the beginning of something deeper than comfort ever could offer. Real strength, real peace, and real understanding. Because this is the moment where most people struggle the most. Not with the pain itself, but with what comes next. The resistance, the urge to fight, to escape, to push it all away. But pain doesn't disappear just because we don't like it, and fighting it won't make it lighter. So what does? Acceptance. After understanding that suffering is part of being human, that pain is not a mistake but a message, a new question arises naturally. What are we supposed to do with that pain? This is where most people get lost. Because our instinct is to fight. When life doesn't go as planned, when something feels unfair or uncomfortable, our first reaction is usually resistance. We get angry, we blame, and the longer we resist, the heavier it gets. But here's the truth, and it's not always easy to hear. No amount of resistance has ever changed reality. You can fight the truth with all your strength, but in the end, it just leaves you tired, stuck, confused, because the pain is still there. The situation hasn't changed. Only now you've added frustration on top of it. So what do you do when things hurt and you can't fix them right away? You accept them. And this is where people often get it wrong. They think acceptance means giving up, like it's passive. But that's not what acceptance is. Not at all. Real acceptance is one of the most active, powerful things you can do. It's not a decision to stop caring. It's a decision to stop pretending. It's looking reality in the face and saying, this is where I am. I don't have to like it. That shift, from resistance to recognition, is where your real power begins. Because once you stop using your energy to argue with reality, you finally have energy to do something meaningful with it. You begin to make conscious choices instead of emotional reactions. You begin to act instead of panic. You begin to respond instead of escape. That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's inner strength. That's the foundation of real change. Acceptance doesn't mean things stay the same. It means you've stopped wasting time denying what already is. so you can finally start doing something from a place of truth. It's the turning point, the moment where you let go of what you thought life should be, and you meet life as it is, raw, unpredictable, sometimes painful, but real. And the moment you do that, a new kind of freedom opens up. You're no longer trapped in a fantasy. You're no longer waiting for the world to match your expectations before you can feel peace. You're grounded. You're aware. You're here. And being here, fully present, fully awake, is where all your real options live. It's where your intelligence can actually work. It's where healing starts. It's where your next step becomes possible. None of that can happen if you're still pretending. None of that can happen if you're still hoping life will turn into something else before you start showing up. So, acceptance is not giving up. It's not surrendering to failure. It's the opposite. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it takes courage. But there's something deeply peaceful about no longer needing life to be something else before you begin. Because when you stop resisting what is, you stop being at war with your own life. And when that war ends, even for a moment, you realize something powerful. You don't need to control everything to feel strong. You don't need to escape pain to feel peace. You just need to stop lying to yourself about where you are. From there, everything changes, because you've finally stopped standing in the way of your own growth. But even when we understand this, even when we know that acceptance is the path, something inside us still resists. Not because we don't want peace, but because the mind has its own habits. It pulls us back. It replays the past. It floods us with doubt, fear, noise. And that's why acceptance alone isn't enough. Because to truly stay present with life, we need a mind that knows how to stay with us. Now that we've talked about acceptance, about the courage it takes to stop fighting reality and meet life as it is, a new question appears, quietly but powerfully. Why is that still so hard to do? We can understand everything. We can nod in agreement. But then something happens. A message you didn't expect. A look from someone that triggers an old wound. A moment of silence that suddenly feels unbearable. And just like that, everything you understood disappears. Your mind pulls you into loops of fear, overthinking, doubt, blame. You start reacting before you even realize what you're reacting to. What happened? It wasn't the situation. It wasn't life. It was your mind. And that's the part no one wants to talk about. The part where the real work begins. Because no matter how wise your thoughts are, no matter how deep your insights go, if your mind is untrained, it will betray you in the moments you need it most. An untrained mind can't hold acceptance. It can't hold presence. It doesn't care about logic or insight. It only knows habit, emotion, survival. It reacts. It clings. It panics. It tries to protect you the only way it knows how, by controlling, predicting, defending. And in times of difficulty, a mind like that becomes not just unhelpful, but dangerous. It adds layers of suffering to everything you feel. It turns discomfort into drama, sadness into self-doubt, fear into paralysis. They come when we train the part of ourselves that processes life in the first place, the mind. And let's be clear, training the mind doesn't mean controlling every thought. It's not about becoming emotionless or detached. It's about learning how to relate to your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. It's about building the inner strength to observe your reactions without being consumed by them. It's about creating space between what happens and how you respond. That space is everything, because within that space, you regain your power. Not the power to control the world, but the power to choose how you meet it. And you don't need to become a monk. You don't need to escape your life. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions. You begin where you are, in the middle of your busy day, in the middle of a difficult conversation, in the middle of a thought spiral. You begin by noticing that your mind has wandered, noticing that you're tensing up, noticing that you're starting to tell a story that isn't true, and then gently, without force, without shame, bringing yourself back, again, and again, and again. This is not about perfection. It's about consistency. Every time you come back to now, you strengthen your awareness. Every time you stay with what you're feeling instead of escaping, you increase your resilience. Every time you respond with clarity instead of panic, you're retraining your nervous system, your perception, your entire way of being. And slowly, the mind begins to shift. It gets quieter, not silent, but more spacious. It gets softer, not weak, but less reactive. It starts working with you, instead of against you. That's when something powerful happens. You stop needing the world to calm down before you feel peace. You stop waiting for all your problems to be solved before you rest. You stop hoping that the chaos will end, and instead, you build clarity within the chaos. You realize that the storms outside aren't the biggest danger. It's the storm inside, the one you've never been taught to calm. And when you learn to calm that storm, even just a little, everything changes. You start making decisions from stillness, not fear. You start navigating emotions with wisdom, not reaction. You start living in a body and mind that finally feel like a safe place to be. And that is the foundation for everything that follows. Because only a steady mind can hold true acceptance. Only a clear mind can make space for real transformation. Only a trained mind can meet suffering with the strength to grow through it. So if you're tired of being overwhelmed, lost in thought, trapped in cycles you can't break, don't look outside. Look within. Because the clarity you're looking for isn't out there. It's a skill, and it can be trained. And the more you train it, the more you'll discover this powerful truth. You don't need a perfect world to find peace. You just need a steady mind to meet the world you already have. And when the mind becomes steady, when it stops reacting, stops spinning, stops dragging us away from the moment, something begins to reveal itself. Something we may have been missing all along. Not a technique, not another goal, but a quiet, grounded sense of well-being. Not because life is perfect, but because we've finally stopped looking for happiness in all the wrong places. And that's where we discover what real happiness actually is. By now, we've walked through a lot. We've looked pain in the eye, let go of the illusion of control, learned the power of acceptance, and discovered how to bring clarity to chaos by training the mind. And through all of that, maybe a quieter, deeper question has been forming inside you. If I let go of the chase, if I stop needing everything to be perfect, what's left? What's left when I stop resisting life? What's left when I stop pretending? What's left when I stop running? The answer is simple, but not small. What's left is happiness. Not the kind that's loud and flashy, not the kind that's sold in ads or built on achievements, but the kind that lives quietly at the center of everything real. This kind of happiness doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It's not about being the best, or being admired, or getting your way. It doesn't rise and fall with likes, followers, or praise. It's not shaken by uncertainty, or ruined by loss, or postponed until the next milestone. It just is. But here's the thing. Most of us miss it. Not because we're incapable of happiness, but because we're looking in all the wrong places. We've been trained to believe that happiness is something we find out there, that we'll feel peace when everything is calm, that we'll feel joy when the world gives us permission. And so we chase it. We chase the job. We chase the body. We chase the relationship, the house, the moment, the image, the version of ourselves that looks like it has everything figured out. But the truth is, happiness isn't hiding in your next accomplishment. It's hiding beneath everything you're using to avoid the present moment. Because real happiness, deep, lasting, grounded happiness, is not about having more. It's about needing less. Less pretending, less proving, less reaching for a life that isn't yours. It's about being in honest contact with the life you already have. It's about walking through your day, and instead of evaluating everything through a lens of better or worse, you simply notice what is. You feel your breath. You hear the sounds around you. You feel your emotions, all of them, without judgment, without suppression. And slowly, what you find isn't euphoria or excitement. It's not fireworks or ecstasy. It's something deeper, something stronger. You find peace. You find ease. You find the kind of joy that doesn't have to shout to be real. And when you live from that place, the world doesn't have to change for you to feel okay. You're no longer chasing moments of happiness. You're living in a state of openness, of presence, of authenticity. Yes, pain will still come. Yes, life will still be uncertain. But your happiness won't be built on what changes. It will be rooted in what's real. Because reality, even in its imperfection, is a better foundation than fantasy ever was. And when you stop demanding that life meet your expectations, when you stop thinking peace lives in the future, when you stop asking the world to give you permission to feel whole, you realize something radical. You've been okay this entire time. You just didn't know how to see it. You didn't need more. You didn't need different. You just needed presence. You needed to stop, to breathe, to listen, to be. Because maybe, just maybe, happiness isn't something to find. It's something to remember. It's something that grows not in what you chase, but in what you accept. Not in perfection, but in presence. Not in fantasy, but in reality. And the more real your life becomes, the more real your peace becomes, and the more real your happiness finally feels. So here we are. We've walked a long way together, through some uncomfortable truths, some quiet realizations, and maybe even a few moments of stillness you weren't expecting. We started by letting go of control. We acknowledged that life won't always go our way, and that's not a failure. It's just how life is. Then we stepped into suffering, not to glorify it, not to drown in it, but to see it for what it really is. A doorway, a teacher, a natural part of being human. We talked about acceptance, not as weakness, but as strength. The strength to meet life honestly, to stop pretending, to stop waiting for everything to be perfect before we begin living. And then we faced the mind, the beautiful, complicated, restless mind. We learned that peace doesn't come from trying to control life, but from training the part of us that experiences life in the first place. And finally, we arrived here, at this quiet truth that so many of us spend our entire lives running past. True happiness is not something we find. It's something we remember. And it's always been in what's real, not in fantasy, not in escape, not in the next thing, but in the way we breathe, the way we feel, the way we stay. When we stop needing life to be different, we finally begin to feel at home in the life we already have. And that's a kind of happiness that no one can take from you. Because it's not borrowed, it's not fragile, it doesn't depend on anything outside of you. It's rooted, it's lived, it's real. So if this video gave you even a glimpse of that, even for a moment, don't just move on to the next thing. Take a breath, let it land, let it stay. Let that be your reminder. Let it be someone else's lifeline too. And if this message touched something inside you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with one person who might need to hear it today. Because we all forget, we all chase, we all get lost. But when even one person remembers, when even one person slows down and comes back to what's real, it creates a ripple, and those ripples matter, more than we think. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And above all, thank you for being willing to come back to what's real.